Running Sentences presents Work, Work, and More Work. Part 4. A confusing time? All three workers spend their time trying to figure out their little side missions and what they're supposed to be doing. They could work on their side projects, but what fun would that actually be? This story is written and narrated by Michael Hunter. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within the story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events is purely coincidental, etc., etc. Copyright 2025, Michael Hunter, all rights reserved. A large meeting of projects had been called the next morning, much to Bruno's annoyance. He had sat through the last hour or so of talk about how things were going in this meeting room of the executives. To him, this was a waste of time since his project was supposed to be a secret, and why was he actually here? He just wanted to be working. And now we arrive at Mr. Bruno's project. How are things going? The CEO, Miss Barley, asked. Breaking out of his thoughts, Bruno glanced around in the expectant faces of 40 or so executives, people, bosses, whoever they were, and all had turned to him to see what he had to say. Work continues slowly. Why slowly? Miss Barley, Miss CEO, it isn't easy to find the information you wanted, and we've had to go through reams of paper just to see if we're on the right track. Miss CEO, I know you want this to succeed, but it has already been tried by the previous head of the company, and they came up with no great answer. The interruption by Justin, one of the many executives of the board, was not welcomed by Miss Barley, who glared at him. They merely did not try hard enough. I was around during that period. I know the former CEO all too well. They gave everything up to save things, and it didn't work, Justin said dryly. Well, they did not give enough, Mr. Justin Haber. We will give more. There's only so much one can do before it costs everything and anything. No employer is going to give that to you when the rumors around the company have already started. She shook her head at Justin. There are always rumors, and most workers avoid listening to them. Isn't that right, Mr. Bruno? The ping-pong conversation had caught Bruno off guard, and now being dragged back into it, panic had struck him. I'm not really entirely sure. You can't use a person who is your personal pet and doing your personal pet project to answer such questions. Why not, Justin? And who says he is my personal pet? A lot of people, he is your right-hand man or person or whatever in this not-so-secret project. Therefore, in the eyes of everyone, he is a pet. Miss Claudia interrupted. I protest being called a pet, Bruno complained. There, he isn't a pet as he says, Claudia. Perception has always ruled that he is, no matter what you or he say. Miss Barley glowered towards Claudia Nat, the woman speaking and the head of accounting of all of their projects. If you needed money, one had to be on her good side, and even Bruno, despite not being into the politics of the company, knew it wasn't good to anger the money. We will change things here, and change is coming from this project. It may take some time, which is why I'm willing to allow Mr. Bruno to take his time and efforts on this. Is that understood, everyone? It is, yes, but do you have that time to wait, and this is going to cost a lot? Justin interjected. Yes, you can say all you want to say, but money doesn't look good for any potential answers the project might come up with. Justin, Claudia, it will come, but we have to know when and where to put our efforts. Do not worry about your little cost, Claudia. As for the meeting, it has practically run its course, so we shall end it here. Since Bruno was busy with something important, Jess guessed. Jess had taken to the 5th floor, hanging around one of the many break rooms, which this one was where a lot of executives hung out, mostly because this is where their offices were, and the stuff they got in these break rooms was a bit of a nicer quality. Jess stood there waiting to see who might come in after that supposed meeting, when an annoyed-looking Claudia Nat stepped inside, spotted him, and gave out an exasperated sigh. I would ask what you're doing here, but I think I can guess, Mr. Jess. Oh, am I predictable? Not necessarily, but rumors are abound lately, and you seem like the type of person people would turn to find out answers, she replied. And, that's the type of person that I am? You are a sneak who knows his way around. People know you don't like work, but for the right price. Well, that isn't true at all, Miss Claudia, but I am here to see what rumors are true all for myself. She gave him a doubtful look, which he tries to offer a grin, a rather cheerful one. He was feeling rather cheeky, and wanted to see how she would respond. Which departments are you poking around for, or is this that secret project? No, but yes, no. HR is worried about the rumors, and of course money. Claudia frowned as she marched over towards the coffee machine to get it started up. It took a few seconds of fiddling with it to get everything right and get it going. The head of the department, Lizzie, is worried about things again. When isn't she worried about something? But you know how it is with them. Worry and being disliked by practically everyone who works for a company just doesn't make for a good time, does it? Are you saying you don't hate them? I'm rather indifferent to the whole thing, though, 'cause I'm me, though they are a silly thing that one must simply have with a big company like this one. I can't tell you how much I know, and that would put them at ease that things are okay. Okay, well then, Miss Claudia, are they on the chopping block? To that, Claudia firmly looked over to him and shook her head no. I won't say chopping block, but as everything these days, it's all being closely examined. For the sake of the shareholders. I would say yes and no. That perspective is rather a simple one that only takes into account one facet of the business. I'm always balancing what we can bring in and what we can spend, so it's more complicated for me. Jess found himself nodding along. This sounded about right, but he still had a lot of questions. Why are you willing to tell me all of this? He asked, once he corrected himself. You'll get the word out that money is tight. That suits my purpose, since people will be more reticent about asking for it. Will they really be that reticent, Miss Claudia? Some might get the idea, others will keep asking since they're higher up on the food chain. It will be a process, but I think it will save me some time. I see. Well, that doesn't seem worth all the effort at all to me. I mean, to tell me this and hope for the best is like a setup for something more. Before Miss Claudia could answer, Bruno came storming on by, walking past the entrance to the break room. A second later, he had backed up and stared towards Jess. What are you doing in this area? Collecting vital, high-grade snacks for work. There was a long, deep stare from Bruno towards him, and Jess realized he didn't really have anything in his hands at the moment, so this little lie probably didn't ring true. Stop pretending to work and get back to work. Come with me back to our secret meeting room. With a wave of her hand, Claudia said goodbye and smirked at him, and then at Bruno. Lindsay was pissed. She'd spent most of her morning doing what she was supposed to do, while her two co-workers were off doing other things. It was a simple job, yet one refused to do work and the other overworked themselves to forgetting about things. All she wanted was for this to be over already. Then the door opened and the two lost co-workers strolled in as if nothing had happened. I won't ask where you've been, but you two better make up for not being here to do your work. I swear to God, it feels like I'm the only one who actually tries to make this whole thing work. I was out doing important field work about the company. And I was in a meeting about the future of our projects. I'm not even sure what I was there for, but people insisted I be there, so I was there. The boss wanted me there. The Miss CEO Barley wanted me there. Lindsay glanced towards Jess, waiting for his better excuse. I went to learn about money. I don't know if I understand or not, but what are you talking about, Jess? What's going on? The keeper of accounts for the company was freely talking to him, I guess about money, Bruno said. Yes, she was. Why would she do that, Jess? Well, she wanted someone to talk to about the mess of accounts that she's dealing with, and to make sure that people were, or aware, or are warned about money being tight. Part of my job now, apparently, is to spread warnings, Lindsay. Bruno shook his head. No. That will not be happening, you two. We have a lot of work to do here. Work you haven't even been doing, if I can point that out. Neither of you have been working as much as I have. Please get to reading these files. I have protested that insinuation. I have been working plenty hard, Lindsay. It's just, in a meeting room. With a roll of her eyes, Lindsay looks over to Bruno as he moved over to his usual spot at the head of the table. You haven't been doing it here, though, where I can see such things occurring. How am I supposed to believe you when I can't see your work? You'll just have to accept that as your boss, I'm doing my work. That will win everyone over, simply stating that you're doing your work. Yep, no problems will occur there. Having had enough of this madness and jokes, Lindsay turns back to the papers she's reading. Endless pieces of documents talking about improving company morale. Most of them saying the same thing, though. Providing opportunities for employees to grow and prosper under strict tutelage. Some work had been done by Bruno before lunch, and then he'd gone out to lunch. But after that, he'd been called into another meeting. This one by one of his other bosses, and he found himself in Mikhail's office. Fear was running through him that he was going to have to provide some sort of answer to Mikhail and any previous intrigue that was going on. He didn't have a good response to any of that yet. Do you know why they've called you here, Bruno? I have some concepts of ideas, but why don't you tell me so that we can clear all of this up and move on? I have a lot of work to do. Oh, do you? Reading the same old files over and over again, with hopes of finding some clue to saving the day for Miss Barley? It's honest work, Mr. Mikhail. Yes, I'm sure it is. Anyway, I need you to do some things for me. A nervous, worried chill ran through Bruno. Sometimes something about this request felt off, and like it was trying to get him to do something he shouldn't be doing. Oh, what kind of thing, and why not just send out some lackey you can actually trust? Are you saying you aren't trustworthy? I figured you could have better people working for you, who would do whatever it is that you want. I see you've made up your mind about my suggestion already, then. No, I just want to make sure that I know what's going on, and that it really needs me instead of somebody else. He was lying through his teeth and trying to make it sound truthful, but he wasn't sure how well he was doing on that front. His boss looked rather unimpressed with him at the moment, so that made things complicated. Are you actually willing to listen to my request or no? Mikhail demanded to know. Oh, of course I'm willing to listen, yes. Good. I need information on Lindsay. My co-worker, my worker, the one on my staff for the secret project? Mikhail firmly nods his head yes, while Bruno tries to shake his head to get around all of this. It was sort of yes, no, maybe circular thing that he wasn't sure of, so he tried to stop it instantly. Yeah, so I didn't know you knew so many Lindsays. No, I don't. I wanted to make sure it was the right person now, since, it's better to be specific about these sorts of kind of things. Quite right. We need to be forthright about all things. Doing his best to bite back a harsh laugh, Bruno kept his face mostly a solid, blank expression. This man saying that they should be honest, and wasn't telling him anything about what he was trying to accomplish? Was he trying to be funny in a weird way? If it was, Bruno really wasn't getting the joke, but he still felt like laughing at him. Well, what do you want to know about her? I'm almost positive that you have more access to information than I do, but what do you need to know? She has a connection within the company, high up within the company. I need to know who it is and why they're protecting her. Well, why do you need to know that? Bruno asked, confused. Well, it's potentially a stoppage in my plan. If they get in the way because of connections with the CEO, Miss Boyle, then things could fall apart on my end. I don't want that, do you? It was a trick question if Bruno had ever heard one, and he wasn't about to fall for something so simple. It almost felt too easy to say something to it. I'm taking things as they come and trying to figure it all out. I don't know how she might have a connection with higher-ups, but she's never talked about it to men or mentioned it to me. Well, no, that's a lie. She said she doesn't have connections. Get her to talk some more. That's your job right now. Figure this shit out so that I can move my plans forward. Well, she's not really a talkative type. Wine and dine her, then. Do something to win her over. You're her boss. You're supposed to at least be on a base level knowledge. You're supposed to at least, on the base level, know things about your workers. You do know that, right? Bruno found himself taken aback for a moment. He'd always felt it was best to keep an arm's length between him and workers and bosses and all that. To get closer? That always invited trouble and relationships that would go nowhere. I would prefer a business relationship with my workers. A frown crosses Mikhail's face with a lot of disappointment. He leans forward in his seated position across from the standing Bruno. They stare at each other for a moment more. Bruno tries to figure out what he's said wrong now. There couldn't be that much wrong with what he'd said, right? You do know talking to workers about their lives can be good for bosses, right? No, I don't think that is a good idea. Then you won't do as I request, and this company will become a sinking ship, with you riding it all the way to the bottom? That's what you want? To waste your talent? Shifting from one foot to another, Bruno didn't want that at all. He prided himself on his work, but there was no reason as far as he knew to suddenly abandon the company, and this didn't sound right at all. I'm just trying to understand what you want of me. There's a lot going on, and it feels like everyone is trying to get me to do something for them. Well, who else is trying to get you to do something for them? Who else is trying to get you to work with them? Bruno pauses for a moment, then gave Mikhail quite the look of surprise. Well, I figured you knew the boss, the CEO of the company, wants me to work hard on her project, and the workers you personally assigned to me, remember? Who else, Mr. Bruno? Who else? Well, there's you right now, and my own goals, and, well, my project team seems to want me to do things for them, so lots. Nothing about your old bosses from research and development? Are you sure? I know you went there to talk to them about something, though exactly what it was a bit vague from what your bosses mentioned. Do you have spies down there or something? I wouldn't have gotten anywhere within this company if I didn't lean on people and use my connections. You need to do much the same if you wish to survive much longer. That's why you were at R&D, right? To make those connections and get better and advance your career, right? Sure? Mikhail snorted at him in frustration. Your lies are terrible. I see how it is. Go back to your work and do your damnedest to do whatever it is you're up to now. Lindsay was washing her hands in the ladies' bathroom. when the sink beside her suddenly was occupied. It was not the type of person she was expecting to be in this regular bathroom, yet here they were. "What brings you here?" "I think that is rather obvious, don't you, Miss Lindsay?" "Well, I'm just making sure, Miss CEO. I don't want to misstep and misspeak." Yes, of course. How are things going on the project?" "With the project? Not well at all, according to me." She finished washing her hands and moves to leave, but Miss Barley grabs hold of her arm. "There's no one else in here right now, so you can talk freely. Out there, the whole world can hear us. What do you have to say about the project?" "I don't understand why or what you're after in this moment. What I said is already the truth. The project is not going well, and everyone on it appears to be doing their own thing." "Well then, please tell me about Mr. Jess, then." Lindsay thought for a moment, furrowing her face as she did so. There wasn't a whole lot she knew about him other than what the rumors said, and those weren't very pretty or helpful. "What I know is he's a worker who rarely works. Why do you keep such a worker around?" It's complicated. They have their uses. But tell me, does he remind you of anyone? You've been working here long enough to remember the old executives, right?" "I was certainly here, Miss Barley, but paying attention to them? No, I don't think so." No, that doesn't matter much. There was one executive that always drew everyone's attention, especially the young ladies who came to work here." "I think I have a vague memory of that. Why?" "What if I told you that was Jess?" Lindsay paused for a moment, stared blankly at the CEO, and tried to figure out what she was trying to say. "I don't know. It seems weird knowing what I know of him, but, and what the rumors about him say. Those two images don't match up." "What do those rumors say about him?" the CEO persisted. "Well, nothing good. He doesn't work and never puts in any effort. Pretty much what everyone already knows about him." She caught sight of the CEO's eyes in the mirror and the angry look of a person who was trying to drive home some point. Lindsay wasn't getting what the problem was, though. "Be careful around him. He's a trickster, and his reputation before all of this went down was that he was a ruthless user of people and assets." "How does one go from ruthless to mostly apathetic? I think that's the word, right? About how a business works?" "My guess is that it was a fall from grace, and he sort of got in legal trouble, criminal trouble, would be my guess." "You don't have to guess, though. I take it you know something, Miss Barley." To that, Barley had started walking towards her exit, her small heels clicking on the tiles. "Maybe. Keep your eyes open around him. You'll find out something real quick." Having nowhere to go this evening, and figuring he might find some information about things going on at the company, Jess had stayed late. It had all been for naught, but that was fine. He was now headed for that front exit, quietly making his way there when his phone went off. It was never a good sign, but he pulled it out. "Hello?" "Where are you?" "Hello to you, Tiffany. I'm at work." "Why do you still work at that sloppy place?" "Old memories are hard to let go of, Tiffany." "You're better than holding on to some old memories." Perhaps I am, but life never has been simple for me. Is there something you needed? A reason for you to call me? You rarely call unless you need something." "Am I not allowed to talk to my father?" "Well, yes, you are." "It sounds like you want to say 'but', so say it. What's wrong?" "But you've never made it a priority to talk to me about anything unless you have something to gain from it." "Oh, you're accusing me of only using you? Is that your only response to your daughter calling?" He fought back a sigh and rolled his eyes. You know I'm not trying to cause you problems. I was a young father and wasn't around as a result, but that doesn't give you the right to badger me about everything, especially when you continually try to cut me off for having a relationship with you. I keep doing that because of where you work. You need to move on. And why do I need to do that, darling? For your health, your sanity, any other thing that is important to you. Just, I have a chance, Tiffany, to accomplish something. That is what you said last time, and the time before that. Do you expect me to keep listening to you lie about something that is unimportant to me, and you pretending it's important to you? Jess started to say. No, listen to me, Jess. This is no longer okay, Dad. You're only hurting yourself by staying there. It will only be a while longer. Forget it. Don't bother with anything to do with me, then. I don't want to hear it. Now who are repeating themselves? This time, I mean it. Unlike you who can't keep your word. This is it. Tiffany. His words were cut off as he realized his daughter had ended the call already. He took a moment to stare at his phone and then tucked it away back into his pocket and headed out. All three had gathered in their usual meeting room. Reading had commenced once again, but Bruno found himself distracted. These pages he was sure he'd gone over more than once, and probably more than thrice. It was doing no good. That's it. I think we need a change of pace. Well, you're the leader of this. It's up to you to decide how we're working on this project. I'm surprised you still have us reading things. As much as I hate to say it, I agree with Jess on that. You don't have to say the first part, Lindsay. It does no good telling people such things. And in a work environment where we all have to work together. Oh, just deal with it, Jess. Are you two going to act like children for the rest of the time? Well, only if you let us. The sigh burbling up inside of Bruno was fought back to try and make it go down. It worked, but barely. What should we be doing then? Either of you can answer. Bruno requested to know. Well, I think Jess is better at answering that than I am. This was a surprising response from Lindsay, and Jess didn't seem to appreciate or understand it either. There's apparently something unsaid or unknown by him about the man, which he would have to try and get to the bottom of, because Mikhail would soon demand it. Bruno really hated office politics, and trying to know things that didn't concern him. Well, Mr. Jess, what do you say to that? Well, an idea, I guess, is we need to write out what we have and what we're looking for on this project. Put it on the whiteboard or something that we can all see it. That's your grand idea? Well, it gets us moving in a direction other than reading. I'm not sure what's causing you to hate me, but I don't care much to learn what it's caused it or whatever it is. Do you have any better ideas, though, for this, Bruno? Lindsay, either of you? No, I have no criticisms to offer at the moment, other than this isn't really much of a plan, and it is what we've been doing already, aside from the writing it out on a whiteboard. Deciding he wouldn't really want to listen more to any arguments, Bruno got up from his seat and pulled over a dry erase board that had been pushed off to the side at some point. There was some stuff written on it. He soon had that erased and made sure it was not important after giving it a quick read. Okay, what have we learned so far? Bruno's question made the three run down a bunch of words, and then you realized that he was writing them down. They all sounded more like buzzwords that people would use to make things sound nice and snappy. Maybe they could be helpful when selling whatever they came up with, though, to the higher-ups. All right, we have some words. What do we do next? Well, it's your turn for ideas, Lindsay. I got us moving. And now you get to have your say. Well, now we need to figure out what is the most important of those. Words, I mean. How would you go about doing that, Lindsay? Bruno asked of her. Realizing that there was no great answer to his question, Bruno looked back at the words to give his workers a moment to collect themselves. He also needed them on his side, after all, if they were going to get through all of this and learn, and if he was going to learn anything about Lindsay as well, if that was at all possible. My suggestion, the best thing I can think of, is to concentrate on the first few words. Study, agreement, help. Figure out if they will lead us to our end goal, Jess said with a shrug, though he had an annoyed expression on his face. Those sound vague, though. Well, sometimes vague is good and gives us a broad spectrum shot to look at things, Lindsay. Help is one that we know is good. It's all about helping, which all workers should want. Bruno said this as he circled the word on the whiteboard. But not all workers will give that freely. Like you? Well, I'm freely working to help this project out, aren't I, Lindsay? Yes, but it feels like you're up to something. This, Bruno felt, might be a good opportunity to jump in and get to know his colleagues a bit better. The work could wait for a second or two, plus maybe it would make Lindsay more willing to talk about herself. Are you up to something, Mr. Jess? Other than helping this project along, is that what you're asking? Because the answer is no, I'm not really doing anything else. Well, I mean, I am, but mostly warning people about things, I guess. It's not really important work. You were up where you shouldn't be for that meeting the other day, Bruno complained. Well, no, there's nothing saying I shouldn't be up there, and I was there to learn, truly and thoroughly about things I should know and people were willing to talk about. You don't seem to want to play the game of politics when it comes to office work, Bruno, so someone has to for our project. Is that why you lost your company? Jess glowers towards Lindsay, but doesn't say anything else, his mouth forming a thin, tight line that would say no more. This was something that Bruno wanted to learn more about, but it would also drag him into the territory of learning about staff, which was a precarious thing at best. Learning this could be helpful, but Lindsay also seemed to be driving at something. Lindsay, what is the relevance to this? It's simple. He lost his company because he was playing too much into the politics of the place, and as a result, lost everything. Why should we take the advice of someone who has lost it all? Have you lost it all, Jess? The question really hadn't been thought out by Bruno, who wanted a moment more to think, but the words had come spelling out. Even though it was a good question, it was a matter of timing. He'd learned that from his bosses, who always had the right question at that right moment. This made him frown, since he most certainly didn't want it to be like them. Do I look like the type of person who has lost everything? Yes, you do, though also one who's clawing their way back up by playing games. I'm not playing games, Lindsay. All I want now is to get this project over with. I don't care with what I'm guessing Miss Barley told you. She's the one playing games, by the way. I don't understand. Is this some sort of game? This job that we've been given, I mean? Bruno asked this questioningly and looking between the two, but was getting nowhere so far. To me, it certainly looks like it. I'm not as certain as Lindsay is, but this may just be an effort or a chance to save the CEO from getting sacked. But it is an effort to grab people to show them that she's doing all she can for this job. So, who knows? It's all a game of politics. Is the company falling apart? Bruno asked the heir mostly, but the other two looked at him. That's the way things look and are going, according to the rumors. Which you would know all about thanks to playing the politics games now. Jess pushed out his chair and rose from his seat, shaking his head no at Lindsay, then turned and walked out of the room, leaving them alone. There was a feeling in Bruno, though he couldn't quite place where it was coming from, that this probably was not a good thing to have happen. I don't think that helped matter, Lindsay. We shouldn't have someone who has failed before and is now part of our secret operation. Why is that? The company needs go-getters, Bruno, and he isn't one of them. He's proven that time and time again. We should be questioning why he's even here in the first place. Bruno now found himself shaking his head no. His team was falling apart, and over what? A worker who used to be a big shot, but now wasn't? Why was that a big deal? Lindsay, if you could explain yourself a little bit better, please. I just feel that we are better off without his, Mr. Jess's, distractions. Is that clear enough for you? Well, it wasn't a distraction until... Instead of finishing that comment, though, Bruno decided to let it drop. Better to try and understand Lindsay a bit more, right? And, well, questioning her would probably close her off. End of part 4 of Work, Work, and More Work. Thank you for listening.